Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to another video. So today I wanted to wrap up all of the books that I've read the past 2 months. I accidentally missed March, and then when I missed March, I was like, oh, I'll just do it when I do April. And now we're, a week into May. So I'm gonna do it. I have to do it or else I'm gonna be doing like a 3-month wrap up. And that's fine, but I don't feel like doing that because I already have so many books to talk about today. We're on my old, filming camera. She's fancy, and I don't honestly know how to use her very well, which is why I stopped using it in the first place. But, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot that I could do this and didn't have to do it on my phone. We'll see how it goes. It's probably gonna actually be really good quality compared to what I do normally. But I have a ton of books to talk about today. Your girl's been reading. She's been reading. But before we dive into that, I'm just going to zoom on over to sponsor Brittany so she can talk about the sponsor for this portion of today's video. So see you soon. Just coming in to talk about the sponsor for this portion of today's video, which is Native. Specifically, we're talking about Native's body washes, which have literally been my obsession lately. Their body washes smell absolutely incredible and create the most luxurious lather that makes your skin feel silky, silky smooth, and they do it without using any sulfated surfactants. They use clean, effective, and simple ingredients that are easy to understand. They literally write on the back of the bottle what each ingredient is in it and what it does inside of the bottle, which I actually adore. They're also phthalate and dye-free and vegan and cruelty-free, and they're also made with plant-based cleansers. They have a super wide range of long-lasting scents, but they're also coming out with new scents all the time, so you're sure to find something that really suits your fancy. I actually have 4 scents here to talk about today. I want to start with my favorite one, and that's going to be the coconut and vanilla one. This literally smells like a tropical getaway. It just smells so delicious. I'm actually almost done with this bottle, which makes me really sad. I'm gonna have to repurchase it. I love this one. But I also have lilac and white tea, which this smells fancy. This smells like a fancy lady, and it makes me feel like a fancy lady. And then lavender and rose. This expectedly smells like a spa day, like a relaxing spa day inside of a bottle. And the last one that I actually have to talk about today is one from their Candy Shop collection, which this collection was recently launched with delicious and craveable candy shop inspired scents that are there to satisfy your sweet tooth. The one that I have specifically is the Sweet Cinnamon Hearts. This smells so good. I've been using this as a bubble bath because it foams up so nicely and the scent is so nice. The foam actually lasts for quite a while. It bubbles up really well without using that much, and it lasts for my entire bath, which I take really long baths. So if you wanted to check out Native, use my link and my code Bibliophile5 to get 20% off of your first purchase at Native. Now this offer is available site-wide, but only for a limited time, so stock up and save. And thank you so much to Native for sponsoring this portion of today's video, and thank you so much to you guys for always watching. Let's get into it, the video. And now let's talk about the books that I've read the past 2 months. I've been reading. I know, it's exciting. These are exciting things. 15 books. I have 15 books to talk about today, so we're not gonna spend too long rambling. We're gonna go in order though of when I read them. So let's just start at the top. Oh, actually, I don't know what ratings I gave these. Where'd my little notepad go with all the fun stuff on it? Please hold. This is another reason why I didn't want to wait too long. I'm already forgetting things. All right, here we go. Book number 1, A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This was the first book that I finished back in March, and I gave it 4 stars. I actually did really enjoy this. It's a reimagining of the wives of Dracula, and it's their perspective on the story, specifically Constantia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Constanta. It details from when she is initially transformed by Dracula, the name change that he puts upon her, and sort of all the manipulation that goes into being his first wife. And as they add more people to their family and what that is really like for her and for them and the kind of dynamic that they all have together. It's a very beautifully written book. I think that I wouldn't really consider this a romance. I mean, it is, but it's not at all. There's definitely some steamy scenes, but it's just a lot more, at least in my mind, based on the manipulative tendencies of a man such as Dracula. So I did really enjoy this. I gave it 4 stars. There's a lot of beautiful lines in this. I really want to go through and like annotate it because I was physically reading it, but then I started listening to it on audio and I really liked the audiobooks, so I stopped. But I had in the beginning been doing a lot. So yes, book number 1. The next book that I read actually was such a surprise to me, such a pleasant surprise. I did not have this on my list to read, and I am very glad that I did pick it up when I did. That's The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. I actually gave this book 5 stars. I believe this might be the only 5-star. I might be wrong about that, but this might be the only 5-star in this whole list. I adored this. It's very long, but it basically is about a few people, but specifically our main character is Luli, and she has a bodyguard who is a jinn, and in this world, the Sultan absolutely despises jinn and in fact hunts them down, and no one knows that her bodyguard is a jinn, obviously, or else he'd probably be dead. But she ends up catching the eye of the Sultan as an expert in acquiring magical items. And so he sends her on a mission to find this item that has been lost to their family for forever. And he sends her specifically with his crown prince, who's this like absolutely vicious person who like revels in killing jinn. He loves it. Also, I'm sorry if I sound stuffy. I've been sick. I'm finally feeling better, so anyways, so yeah, she has to go on this whole mission with this crown prince, but maybe the crown prince isn't exactly who she thought they were. Maybe it's someone better. I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm gonna leave it. There's like betrayal in this, there's plot twists, there are situations that I just didn't see coming. It takes place in dunes, and I don't know, it has all these really great vibes. I enjoyed this so much. The next book that I read took me by surprise. I didn't expect it to be what it was, and that's The Maid by Nita Prose. The main character in this is Nellie, and we don't necessarily get a specific answer on this, but from my perspective of it, from how I read it, she definitely seemed neurodivergent, perhaps on the spectrum. It's just the way that she perceives the world. She doesn't perceive it like everyone else. She is very naive and pure-hearted and hardworking, and she loves being a maid at this very fancy hotel. She takes a lot of pride in her work and doesn't necessarily understand all of like the common ways of talking to other people, but she still makes her friends, though this is a mystery and it is a whodunit, and one of the main things in here are potentially unreliable friends, and it's a very hard story to read at times, at least for me, because it very much shows how someone like Nellie can get lost through the system. Not lost through the system, I guess, but like, I don't want to like spoil anything, but she obviously isn't talking like how people expect her to talk. And because of that, there are situations that she gets put in, that she gets manipulated into being in, that really make her look bad. And I hated it. I hated that aspect of it. I really, really had a hard time reading it at times because of that, but I will say like the whole mystery aspect of it and the people that finally ultimately get discovered, it was good. I gave this 4 stars. All right, next we have The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I gave this 3 stars. Our main character is Alessandra, and so basically she really wants to be the king's lover. Like, she wants to be married to the king, and the king has never really wanted to get married and kind of dismisses every single person that he's ever seen ever. So she's like, I have a plan though. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna pretend I don't like him at all, and that's gonna make him like me. And yeah, of course, that totally makes him like her, because everything just falls into her lap in this book, which I think is one of the things, my biggest gripe with it. But it's also a lot of like showing versus telling. She, as a character, does not make sense for the world that she is in. She's so like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and I'm gonna tell my father exactly what I want to do because I know what I'm doing, and I'm a badass bitch, and I don't care about any of the freaking normal rules of my society, and there's no consequences for it. There's no consequences for it. This is a very sex positive story, specifically with Alessandra, and in this world you can't have premarital joinings, and people find out about it and they just don't care, and that just it was not a realistic situation, and I'm okay with it because I'm like, yeah, go you, do whatever you want to do, but also you should have had consequences. There should have been some sort of consequences in this book, and there really weren't. It is fun to read, but like, it's not good. Also, The Shadow King, I don't know, a lot of this just was giving other stories that did it better, but it was still fun. I don't know, if you want something that's like entertaining, that has like a lot of court intrigue and a very like confident badass main character that gets everything that she wants, yeah, you'll like this. Ooh, another one that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. Only a Monster. I actually almost gave this one 5 stars, but I did ultimately give it 4 stars, just because of the ending, actually. But Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. This is like a time travel story. So in this world, there are monsters, and monsters steal time from people to be able to time travel. And Joan is part of a monster family, and so she therefore is also a monster, if only half. And her family has a natural nemesis of another family, and that family is the family that our other character, Erin, is a part of, and her and Erin end up having to team together against the hero in this story, which is Nick, and Nick is trying to kill all monsters. So Nick also might be the love of Joan's life. So a little bit of a love triangle there, right? I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. I really liked the way that the time traveling worked in this one. They went back to like the 80s, I think. I'm hearing a cat do something. I also really liked the consequences in this book. I thought that was really interesting. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I didn't expect a lot of the plot twists that did happen, and I was just shocked at the way that this ended. It was very intense. I thought that this is the only book. I think that this is the first book in a series, so that makes me a lot happier. When I thought that this was like the only— wait, is this the only book? I'm actually still not sure. Like, I'm not positive, I'm not gonna lie. I wish that there was like a They Will Return. I'm still not positive. If this is the only book, that ending hurts. It's such a cliffhanger. If this is the first book in maybe like a duology or a series, I'm very excited to see what comes next. Loved this. This was so good. Okay, now talking about books that aren't that good. I read a lot of romance. Not to say romance isn't good. Romance is a lot of fun, but I have very different tiers. I think I need to start rating romance books differently than I rate normal books, because half the time I'm just doing it for enjoyment, and I don't expect it to necessarily be like a literary work of art. I don't think that every book should have to be a literary work of art, you know? But let's talk. These are books that I can't really talk much about because I do have a whole video planned coming. I'm not going to tell you my rating on it. I'm going to tell you which books that I read. And that is going to be November 9th by Colleen Hoover. This was a reread, and I actually do want to go back and reread something else because I think I remembered. I listened to this on audio. I think that there's a scene that got cut out of more recent books that is still in my old copy, and I want to find it because I thought that I was making it up, actually. When I was listening to the audiobook, I was expecting to see this scene that never came to fruition, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm judging it too harshly. And then I was thinking about it, I'm like, no, wait, I think this is actually a scene that got taken out. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna check. But this is a reread. And next, I read All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Like I said, I'm gonna hold up the books. I'm not gonna tell you really much about it. There's a video coming, or else I would. But I will link them down below. Like, I'll link all the books that I'm talking about down below just in case you want more information on them, or if you wanted to get it for yourself or anything like that. Follow those links. They are affiliate links, so do with that information what you will. But if you want to know more about it, you can still click on the link and nothing will happen. So, like, as far as like me getting money, unless you purchase it. If you purchase it, something will happen. Great explanation. All right, so those are the 2 books that I couldn't really talk about, but now we can talk about other romance books that I did read that I can talk about, and that is Bully by Penelope Douglas. I also read the second book in the series, which is Rival by Penelope Douglas. These are so old school romance. It felt like I've read quite a bit of Penelope Douglas's work, but this backlist, I could finally see a difference in like her writing style, and it was kind of funny because— well, okay, let me tell you what it's about. But Bully is about Tate and Jared, specifically. They were neighbors. They were childhood best friends, like absolutely inseparable until like the summer before high school. The summer before high school, Jared went to go spend it somewhere else. And when he came back, he was totally different, shut down version of himself, didn't want to hang out with Tate. And then when they started school, he started bullying Tate, like heavily. And then the whole school started bullying Tate, and she didn't know what she'd done wrong. She was like, we were best friends, now everyone hates me. I don't know what's going on. She goes away for 1 year of schooling to France. And while she's in France, when she comes back, she's like, I'm not gonna take his shit anymore. I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna stand up to him and all his loud parties that he has next door, and I'm gonna yell at him, and I'm gonna stand up for myself. And she does, and it's them butting heads and potentially a love story forming, flourishing. Who knows, you know? It's a romance book, we know. But anyways, the next book actually follows Maddox, who is Jared's best friend in this book, and Maddox and his stepsister, Fallon. Yeah, you heard correctly. It's not as nasty as it sounds because, like, they barely knew each other. Like, they became step-siblings when they were teenagers, and their parents hate each other, so, like, they shouldn't be together, if that kind of makes sense. And then she got sent away, and now she's back, and they have unfinished business. But anyways, that's the second book. I will say the first book has a lot of, like, catty girl on girl behavior, like the not like other girls to the max, and also just being like judgmental of the party girl, or like the like the term slut is used too much. So that aspect was kind of just like oh my god, Penelope Douglas, you did that thing too back then. But this is like her old work. She doesn't really do that as much anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. But these were fun. I gave Rival 3 stars. I gave Bully 3.5 stars. So, and actually in between that, I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Finally finished this. This is the Dreamland Billionaires, the first book in that series, where basically Dreamland, it's like a knockoff version of Disneyland, and Dreamland was created by the grandfather of the dude, main character. What's his name again? Rowan? It's Rowan's grandfather's creation. He created Dreamland, and he died, and his multi-billion will said that all of his grandchildren have to do something to receive their portion of the shares, and specifically Rowan, he has to become the director of Dreamland for 6 months and like kind of get it back up to speed and get it like going again, and really just like have a passion about Dreamland because he's a very grumpy character, and he has to go and do that. And he runs into Zara, who is the sunshiniest of sunshine characters, and she works at Dreamland, and she loves her job. She loves everything about it. She loves doing like everyone's makeup because she basically turns them into little princesses or princes, like, and things like that, you know. And he like sees her and he's like, I'm gonna make her this world's version of an Imagineer. I don't remember what they called it, but it was just knockoff Imagineer basically. Like a Disney Imagineer, like the people that create like the rides and all that kind of stuff. So it's them. They start talking. She doesn't like him at all. And then he starts texting her under a false name as someone else. And her and him start having like this really flourishing text relationship, but she doesn't realize she's talking to him. So if you like that kind of trope, that's in this. And if you like Grumpy Sunshine, that's in this. But yeah, I gave it, what did I do? 2.5 stars? Yeah, it was mid for me, at least, but I also don't love Grumpy Sunshine as like a whole. So I read another whole series. I read this one, you know, the Plated Prisoner series, the one that's so popular on Book Talk. I ate it up. I really did. I'm not going to give you too many details because this is I have something exciting coming, kind of. So I won't do anything crazy, but I'm going to give you my ratings for them. So for Guild, I went through and annotated it after, but I gave this 4 stars. Oh, let me briefly tell you, I guess, what the Plated Prisoner series is about. So we have Oren, who is the gilded prisoner. She's the gilded saddle. A saddle is a very eloquent way of saying an escort. A sexual escort that is forever under the king's. She is part of the king's specific saddles group, but he is her she is his favorite saddle, and you know this because she's gold. And who is the king, you may be asking? That's Midas, King Midas. It's actually a play on the whole like King Midas and the gold touch thing. And he has the golden touch. In this world, all of the royals have to have magic, and he wasn't originally a royal, but he married into it because the royal he married didn't have magic, and she needed someone that had magic to be able to hold the throne. He had magic. He can turn everything into gold, including his favorite saddle, Oren. So Oren is kept in a cage in this castle. She's not even allowed to really roam around on her own because, you know, he's nervous that someone's going to do something messed up with her or something. That's what he tells her, at least. But he keeps her separate from all of the other saddles. All the other saddles hate her. She has to live this very, like, isolated life, and she's been living that way for 10 years. Just kind of being his plaything whenever he wants it, and she's absolutely in love with him. Absolutely in love with him. I should have added that. But he at least has said that he totally loves her too, you know? I don't know, he doesn't seem like a very good guy to me. You kind of get that idea pretty off the bat. And the story kind of expands from there. Not everything is as it seems. And maybe Orin is actually going to be let out of her cage, or something will happen so that maybe she doesn't have to be in her cage. And she might not be very happy with that, but you know, whatever. That's kind of the only basis I'm going to give you on this. It's totally a love story. Totally a love story between Orin and Midas, you know? I don't know. As the reader, you definitely get the vibe that, like, he's been very manipulative. At least that's the vibe I got. But I will also say that I accidentally read the second book first because I'm stupid. I don't know. I was reading this on my Kindle and I picked up, I guess, the second book, and I got to like 75% of the way through. And I had just kind of been surprised in general because I was like, damn, they're not really explaining any of these people's names. I have like no emotional attachment to the people that they keep talking about, that, you know, and I just don't understand how we got on this journey. This was a really cold start. Like, what's going on? But like, there were flashbacks every once in a while, so I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna get explanations. And we did. I mostly understood what was going on. I understood a really good amount of it. But then when I got to 75% and I still hadn't gotten an explanation on like one of the biggest parts of like how she got there, I was like, dude, what's going on? And that's when I looked up, because Kindle tells you what book you're on too. It said book 2. So that's when I went back and read this one. And then I was like, wait, this is the man you're talking about so much in this book? She has some rose-colored memories of him in this one. I want to tell you that. He sucked. At least that's how I felt about it. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion on Midas. But I still didn't see like the plot twist kind of coming. But anyways, I gave this one 4 stars. I gave Glint 4 stars. I gave Glow. Oh, no. I gave Gleam 4 stars. More like a 3.5, but 4 stars. And then I gave Glow, the 4th book, 3 stars. I actually really didn't like Glow. For the most part, it felt like such a filler novel, and like there wasn't much that happened, and I was really frustrated with what was going on in it. But I was speeding through it because I was like, I need to read the next book, which is the 5th book, and I didn't know it wasn't out yet. So you got me there. All right, and the last book that I have to talk about, I gave 4 stars. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit, especially after reading that. These are fun to read, but they are not necessarily like works of art. Literaturely, that's not a real word, but it's just, you know, the writing, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if there is an editor for these books, but an editor could have helped, in my opinion. Just my personal opinion, you know? But Book of Azrael by Amber Nicole, I liked this a lot, actually. I don't even know how much to tell you about this, because I just feel like it was kind of better without context. Now, I didn't know really what Book of Azrael was about. Like, I thought I knew what it was about. All I knew was that, like, it had to do with, like, 2 mortal enemies having to go on an adventure together, and, like, they're not allowed to touch. Like, that's the gist of what I'd understood. That's not necessarily true. So Diana is our main character in this, and she is, like, part demon, I guess. Like, she used to be human, but then she made a deal with some godly creature. And by godly, I just mean, like, very powerful creature. We still don't necessarily know exactly what that creature is. I mean, like, we know who he is, but, like, we don't know what he is, really. She makes a deal with him to save her sister's life and becomes this demon thing. This demon thing that is, like, vicious. And she has all these, like, extra powers kind of thing. Like, she can read, like, a person's story by, like, licking their blood. And not read a person's story, but, like, you know, she sees their memories. When she ingests their blood, she can, like, shadow travel. She can transform into, like, anything she wants to transform into. Like, she keeps transforming into, like, wyverns and stuff like that, which is cool. And she's, like, extra powerful, extra strong, extra fast, but she also trains a lot, specifically fighting wise, because she keeps having to go on all these, like, missions and, like, things for, like, her creator. Her creator sucks, by the way, but, like, she's kind of like his girlfriend. I mean, like, he doesn't actually, like, love her, or at least he's never said that, and he's pretty abusive, but, like, she's his kind of thing. And they've been together for, like, 1,000 years. And that's the story on them. And then there's Liam, who is, like, part of, like, an angel race. Like, he's a god. He is, like, the god of gods. Like, he's, like, he would have been in charge of the gods, but he's, like, really not into that responsibility. But he's, like, ultimately very powerful. And the kind of demon that she is, like, one of the only things that, like, can really kill gods. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but, like, it takes place in kind of like an Earth-style world, but this Earth world was, like, invaded by the god world because the gods had a war and their world like came crashing down on top of her Earth style world. And so like now they all like live kind of in harmony and like their technology is part of their world. It's, imagine like two separate dimensions like crashing together almost. It's kind of like that. Ultimately, she just always kind of figured that she was going to be stuck with her like creator because he's stupid powerful and she wants to protect her sister. But she kind of makes a deal with Liam to maybe kill her maker. Maybe. That's all I'm gonna say on that. They don't touch each other just because like he kind of has like an aversion to people and sleeping and stuff, and so does she. So that's not really like they're not allowed to, but like they wouldn't because they're like each other's mortal enemies. But it's hot. It's a romance. I actually really enjoyed this. It's slow burn. It's a slow burn romance, and it was a good time. I liked like the ideas behind this. Like the world that Amber Nicole created was cool. But that's it. Those are all the books that I read for the last 2 months, and next month there's gonna be a lot less books to talk about because I've been reading a lot slower. But other than that, thanks for watching this video today, and thanks for sticking around. I'm really excited for like videos to come, so let's see if I get on them. That'll be it though. Do you like my red hair, by the way? I know that it was red in the last video, but like I used a toner conditioner thing that made it more red, and I like it more. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye. I don't know. I feel like I don't know, you know? I'm supposed to know. You know what? We're gonna trust the process. We're just gonna trust the process because I can't do my own lighting anyways. I just feel like my hair is not cooperating. And it never does, okay? When I try to do a blowout, it doesn't cooperate. Other people's hair always looks so good after they blow it out, and mine like gets flat and then refuses to curl. Can anyone tell me what that's about? Like, can you I don't have blowout hair, I guess. I have to accept that.